So I want to give you an update on something Medicare is requiring now that I'm not hearing a lot of people talk about, and it's probably going to give you a really good insight into which carriers make the most sense for you, especially on the MA side. This is Ansel Medicare Minute coming to you from the beautiful, I don't know if you can see it or not, Dominican Republic. So CMS requires Medicare Advantage plans now to publicly post their medical loss ratios. And if you're an agent, you should be watching these loss ratios very closely. Loss ratios tell you something that benefits will never relay to an agent, right? They tell you which carriers are making money and which ones essentially aren't making money. So when a carrier stops making money, everything for that carrier has to change. And we're seeing a lot of this, or at least not making as much as in the early 2020s. We're seeing a lot of this in the market. So that's why you see commissions change, and networks change, benefits change, plans leaving and exiting the market. You guys get the idea. What this actually means though, well, first let's define loss ratio. What is a medical loss ratio? So a medical loss ratio, it's a math formula. It's premium divided by claims. And with an MA carrier, federally regulated, they're required to hit at least 85% of their revenue on medical care and quality improvement. That means that 85% of every dollar that comes in has to be spent on claims. The other 15% can go to administration and profit. If a carrier goes below that 85% threshold, they actually have to pay that money back to CMS. So it's important that they hit a balance where they can show, at least on paper, that they're maintaining a minimum 85%. But what an agent often misses, if a carrier goes above the 85% threshold, they're also in trouble. Now they're not having to pay money back, they're actually losing money. And this is exactly what we see, at least across the industry today, right? So recent data, and I'll link some of this to you. Well, I'll send it to you if you ask me for it. 4 of the top Medicare carriers right now in the MA market are hovering in their 2025 MLRs between 88 and 90%. Industry-wide across the nation, Kaiser Family Foundation puts that at 90% that Medicare Advantage loss ratios are sitting at, and they've only been climbing the past 3 or 4 years. That means that Medicare Advantage margins are shrinking, and when that margin shrinks, a carrier has to respond, and we've seen the response. We've seen the PPOs that have absolutely stopped being compensatable, not exclusively across the nation, but in a lot of areas. We've seen plan exits. We actually saw 7 million plus people last year lose their Medicare Advantage plan January 1st. We've seen networks tightened. It's almost every day you hear about a hospital or a provider group who's leaving an MA market. And we've seen that profitability become more of a disciplined measure. It's not random, right? It's carriers that are reacting to these medical loss ratios and what actuaries thought they could ascertain to. The key point for an agent, I'm going to teach you how you can watch these things happen in real time. So I want you to become more familiar with AI, specifically language learning modules, LLMs. Instead of reacting to a carrier cut commissions and saying how angry you are, I'm going to teach you how to anticipate something like this happening. So you won't be surprised when a plan exits the market. You'll be able to see on an actuarial level where plan's profitability is and where it's being tightened beforehand. That way you can think more like an actuary or a carrier and not just as an agent. So this is what I recommend you begin with. As an agent, you should start this immediately. Start tracking loss ratios. Start watching earning calls. Start watching industry reporting across the nation, but specifically for your state or the carriers you like. And this is where AI can become incredibly powerful for you as an agent, because you can literally set AI to alert you or notify you when carriers report the profitability pressure. So for example, you could download ChatGPT or Croc or Claude, I don't care who you're using, you can ask it. Notify me when a Medicare Advantage carrier's reported loss ratios are above 85% in this state. Or alert me when this carrier name, whichever carrier you want to use, it doesn't matter, when this carrier's report rising Medicare Advantage cost, okay? You can set Google alerts where they send you an email. I do this every day. I use the tags Medicare Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D, Medicare Advantage, and Medigap. You could tag Medicare Advantage loss ratio. You could tag carrier earnings, Medicare Advantage profitability. I would tag MA utilization increases. And that way you'll have a dashboard telling you where the industry is headed And you'll have some of these thoughts before you watch the Medicare Minute. Because, I mean, ultimately, right, the reality is this. The Medicare Advantage market is becoming more disciplined. It's maturing. For years, it was all about growth, and it took Medicare Advantage from, 20, 30% of the market to over 50% now. But now it's more about control. As a carrier, you have to think they're chasing not just market share anymore, they're chasing disciplined profitability. As an agent, if you can grab hold of that, you will be ahead of the curve and you will be a great tool for your members. Because the benefits and the MLRs ultimately, well, the benefits tell you what happened, right? Where the plan's at. But ultimately, the MLRs tell you where the plan's going next or what's going to happen on it next. As an agent, this way you can stay ahead of the market. Start watching these. Because the carriers already are.